Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Amisha.
Hi, this is Gayatri, and welcome to another episode of Here Goes Everything with Us. So, Misha, as of now, we have discussed a lot of important topics on the podcast that we have always wanted to discuss, right? And one of the other important things that we've always talked about off the record is
Yeah.
about family and growing up with a nuclear family or a joint family, and just ideas of marriage and ideas of supporting your family financially, ideas of having siblings and how it impacts your life
Yeah.
growing up. So, if you've guessed, this is what we're going to talk
Yeah.
about today. How we feel about our parents, because even though we are like in our 20s and we are trying to achieve so much and we are kind of in the phase of our lives where we're trying new things and doing different things, but our parents, they are getting older, and it's very difficult sometimes to see them go
Yeah.
through that. You've always seen them so young and full of
Yeah.
energy and healthy even, and then in your 20s you're kind of dealing with getting older
Yeah.
yourself, but you are still dealing with it in a fine way, because all of your friends are the same age. You somehow just share all of that with your friends. But with parents, it's like it's very uncomfortable to see them grow up. You can't understand how to feel about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is actually tough. So like my parents are in their mid 50s. It's still I won't say that they're old, as in mid 50s is not an old age, I would say. I mean, they're still a little old, but not too old, if that makes sense, right? Yeah.
Midlife.
And I think around this age, you also, face a lot of health issues. I mean, good for people who don't, but my parents do. My parents, they are facing a lot of health issues. And I think that is one of the major things that make me realize that, okay, they are getting old. And it's not just your normal health issues like cold, cough, fever, they have legit issues. And it's sometimes tough to deal with that. And for me personally, I feel it's tougher because I am an old only child, right? And I don't have anybody to share this with. I never had. And I've seen my parents getting sick. Like my mom has been sick for years, but I feel like it never gets easy for me. I feel every time they get sick, every time something happens to them, it is the same for me. I feel the equal amount of panic and anxiety, and it's the same kind of sadness, I think, because you don't want to see them this way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think even for me to accept that your parents will have health issues now, more health
Yeah.
issues now, and they will have to take more care of themselves, it's something that I've been trying to help myself understand
Mm.
as well. Because I've had this weird toxic habit that if my parents would get sick, or if my mom would get sick, for example, then I'll kind of start scolding them that you need to take care of yourself. Why are you not taking care of yourself? And because, if you're not well, then it affects us. And I think in that way, I'm kind of being selfish also, because I don't know if I'm doing enough to take care of
Yeah.
them. I don't know if I'm being there for them completely, but then I expect them to take care of themselves fully, despite knowing that my brother and I are the center of their universe and they're doing everything just for me, and they might not have that kind of time for themselves. And my mom is also a caregiver for my grandmother. So now I have realized that, it's not that they don't take care of themselves, it's just that it's their
Yeah.
age and these things will
Yeah.
happen and they'll have to deal with it. And just seeing your parents' eyes and their skin, the difference in their
Yeah.
skin, and I think about that, maybe when in a few months or a year after or whatever, whenever I decide to move out, and when I'll come back after months or years, I feel like I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna see how much they've changed. I might not have
Yeah.
changed as much, but seeing them change so much might make me very emotional. Growing up yourself, and like just seeing yourself adulting, might not be as hard as seeing your parents get old.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. My mom has been sick, I think, for most of her life, right? I was in the third grade when she first got her paralysis attack, right? And she has gotten like multiple attacks after that. And attack after attack, I see her body change. I see her face change. And I did not fully understand or acknowledge this back then when I was in school, back when I was a teenager. But in the last last 3 4 years, I feel I have started understanding this more and more, and it hurts me so much to see her now, because sometimes it's tough to recognize her. So I can't even remember how she was before sometimes, but when I do, and when I compare her, not just body, not just physically, but mentally as well, when I compare her from like 4 5 years ago, I see the difference, and she has changed so much. It is so painful to see that sometimes, and she doesn't realize this per se, because for her this is a gradual change that has been happening, but for me it was like I woke up one day and I saw her and I was like, what, wait, what?
Hmm.
It was pretty drastic for me. I don't know what exactly was it that made me realize that okay, this is happening. I cannot really pinpoint to that particular
Hmm.
moment, but yes, when that
Hmm.
happened, I was, yeah, it shattered me, I think, in that moment. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
all dealing with it, and I feel like we are, dealing with it now when we are in our early 20s, but many people have to deal with it when they are children, when they are teenagers, and that's tougher on them. I think that leaves a bigger impact on them. I feel that's more traumatic, because now we are in a state where we can handle this situation as well, where we can help ourselves as well. As you say that you want to help yourself as well through this situation, so we know that we can help ourselves in this situation. But when it happens to people when they are in their teenage years, it's tougher.
And when they grow up without having a fully present parent because of the parents'
Yeah.
health issues, it's it's pretty
Hmm.
sad. And I think apart from that, with parents, it's like, because we've been growing up in this generation and we understand the importance of self care and self love and taking time out for ourselves and keeping our priorities right and etc. It was not the same for our
Hmm.
parents, and to help them understand that they need to take care of themselves in a certain way is very difficult, because they've had a very
Yeah.
different idea of self care. I'm not even sure whether they were raised in a way where they were taught
Yeah.
about how important it is to take care of themselves, not just for their own well-being, but I don't know, maybe for their children as well. I'm also selfish like that. I don't know. I also realized that the reason why I used to get mad when my parents wouldn't take care of themselves or when they would fall sick is that when you love someone a lot, like when you love somebody the
Hmm.
most, basically, it's very difficult to accept their flaws also. I don't know. I'm not sure if that makes sense. It's very difficult to see them, and I'm talking about parents specifically. It's very difficult to see them as imperfect or
Yeah,
as
I get that.
someone who's not able to take care of themselves
Yeah.
properly. Like उनकी जो कमी होती है, you're not able to
Yeah. Yeah.
accept it, that इनमें कमी ऐसी कैसे हो
Yeah.
सकती है.
And I feel that is because, our parents never showed us their weakness when we were children, right?
Hmm.
Growing up, our
Hmm.
parents were never showed us their weakness. They never cried in front of us. They never, yeah. And we grew up thinking that they are perfect, that they are
Hmm.
perfect. Nothing can happen to them. They are indestructible. But when we grow up and when they
Hmm.
feel like okay, they have raised us and now they can finally let go, they can finally,
Hmm.
you know be a little imperfect, or they can finally show us who they are, they can finally show us their flaws, we then are not able to accept it because we grew up thinking that they are perfect. So maybe
Hmm.
that's why.
Hmm.
I get that.
Hmm. Yeah, emotional acceptance of that is important, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, that's very true. I mean, I understand like how you feel, but I don't think I have been raised in that way because, as I said, like my mom fell sick when I was child, right? So I grew up seeing my dad cry. I grew up seeing my mom, be extremely vulnerable, cry, scream in front of me. So I feel like, yeah, yeah, it's not something that I go through, but when you were saying earlier that some people have to grow up without a parental figure, I feel like even though my mom was
Hmm.
sick, and sometimes I did feel like I did not have the kind of care or
Hmm.
motherly care from my mom like many people did. But I don't know, I think she still did her best. Pehle I
Hmm.
think I was, maybe I held thoda resentment, I don't know. But now I
Hmm.
feel like I've
Hmm.
grown up, and now when I look back, I feel like she did her best. Of course, she did her best. She was sick.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Misha, you will make me cry.
I am going to cry.
Look at us tearing up. That is true, girl. That is
Yeah.
very true. I think a lot of how we've been talking about adulting in our previous episode and talking about growing up. I think one of the another sign of growing up would be this, to understand where they came from, what kind of people they were, and why they were the way they were. By they, I mean parents, our parents, of
Yeah.
course. And there are a lot of things, man, that with what they had, with all of their capacity, they gave what
Hmm.
they had, and they did the best that they were able to do, you know.
Yeah, that is
And
true.
so my mom, yeah, so my mom, my brother, and I, we were just sitting and talking about the rest of the relatives and what other relatives are up to,
Gossip.
etc. Yes, family tea and gossip we were
Yeah.
discussing. And we were discussing about the relatives who have single children.
Hmm.
And then we were talking about those kids, the single
Okay.
child. And even on my mom's side, I have a cousin who's a single kid, and my dad's as well. We were discussing that kids in our family who are single children,
Hmm.
they felt alone a lot.
Hmm.
Like they do feel like if they had a sibling, probably they would not have felt as alone, or they wouldn't have felt that it's such a big of a responsibility when
Yeah.
it comes to family. With my conversation with you, I mean, I know that you're handling everything very well, but I know that you would have loved to have a sibling that you could have shared the responsibility and the stress with. To have somebody basically someone who shares your parents.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But yes, it is definitely lonely. It is, I do definitely feel alone sometimes, especially when things go wrong. I'm the only one who can save it. Yeah, sometimes that can be a little tough.
Yeah, I mean, talking about like the dynamics of sibling and relationships with your sisters or brothers, I think with my brother, it's definitely there was a time when I've had to help him understand things emotionally, because
Hmm.
he was the younger one, then he wouldn't want to speak up in case things were happening. And yeah, so definitely it could feel like that you are the one trying to help everybody understand what's the best for everybody in general. But once, even your younger siblings grow up, and when you grow up, your relationship actually gets better. When you're younger and in your teens, you're always fighting for something or the other, but as you grow up, it definitely changes. And yeah, and you do feel like that, okay, you're not the only one responsible for parents, and
Hmm.
this person can also take care of the family if I'm not around, and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with my younger sibling, I think my relationship with him has definitely had its ups and downs.
Yeah.
As any brother and sister, we used to fight a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I was the one who would start most of the fights, and I would like hurt him on purpose.
Hmm.
So I've been that kind of the pathetic elder sister to him. Yeah, but I think because we've grown up now, so
Yeah.
things do
It's
change.
easier. Like talking to you right now, it just reminds me that, like, I've always thought of reasons why I love coming back here in
Hmm.
McLeodganj. ठीक है?
Hmm.
I don't really know why, but now when you talk about
Hmm.
it, right, I think that it's maybe because since I've grown up in such a lonely environment,
Hmm.
just my parents, and plus, my parents are deaf and mute. So I've grown up in
Hmm.
silence.
Hmm.
So coming here, when I'm here, I live in a house. It's basically a house, right? So you wake
Hmm.
up, you get out of your room, there are people around.
Hmm.
There's always somebody
Hmm.
around talking, chattering,
Hmm.
and they are amazing people. And I love
Hmm.
that. Sometimes
Hmm.
I love that I can go out of my room and I have people to talk
Hmm.
to. And maybe that's why.
That's important.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and maybe that's why I love it here because, and especially Priyam actually. So Priyam is one of people who stays here, and
Hmm.
I've grown so close with her in the last
Hmm.
few months. I feel like she's actually, sometimes we are like sisters. She's
Yeah.
actually my
Elder sister. Yeah.
she's
Hmm.
actually like my
Hmm.
elder sister sometimes, and I love that
Hmm.
sometimes. I love
Yeah.
that I'm able to talk to her about my
Yeah.
family as well, and she can talk to me
Yeah.
about her family, and then we can support each other. I love that sometimes because I
Hmm.
need,
Yeah.
right now, I think I need to be just in close proximity with the people I
Hmm.
love. And Delhi, mein everybody
Hmm.
that I love stays far away, you and other
Hmm.
people.
Yeah, I think having an elder sister is like one of the really nice things that
Yeah.
you can have in a family, whether blood or not,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But having an elder sister figure is really nice. I think that kind of a relationship, it's very close. It's not exactly like friends, but it's very different with sisters, I feel.
Yeah.
Like I tell my brother all the time that he's very lucky to have an elder sister like me,
Yeah.
because and I tell him that I can be your life guru, bro. And even like with the younger sisters that I have, it's sweet, like the relationship of how you're talking to like your sister figure. It's a very
Yeah.
nice feeling, and I have cousins who are younger than me who are elder, right? So I think, yeah, that kind of bond, it's really special. It's very different from friends,
Yeah.
but I mean, they have their place, and with your siblings, it's their place,
Yeah.
but it's really nice. Yeah.
It is pretty nice. But yeah, I would have loved to have a sibling, I think. Sometimes I do feel
Hmm.
that. Plus, it's financially thoda easier as well because not all
Hmm.
the like financial burdens are on you. You can share that with your sibling.
100%.
I feel like I'm at a stage right now where there's so much financial pressure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, you're right. When I think about myself as well, I feel like if I was the only one who had this thing where I need to support my parents, that would have been a
Yeah.
little kind of,
Overwhelming.
yeah,
Yeah.
overwhelming. I would have felt that I wish somebody else would also feel that, okay, they're my parents also, I need to do it for them also. Because like with my brother, for days and days he would take care of things financially, and it would not even occur to me that things are being taken care of.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So, like my dad and I talk about this a lot that I think I have the most supportive parents. And
Hmm.
I feel like they know that they demand so much from me. It's not like they're demanding because, they want to be mean or something. I think it's just, the situation that
Hmm.
we are in. And they know
Hmm.
that. They acknowledge. My dad actually
Hmm.
acknowledges this so much sometimes. It actually makes me
Hmm.
cry when he talks about these things. He's like, we know that we are being too tough on you. Okay, I'm going to cry
Hmm.
again.
I understand. I totally understand.
हाँ no, so like he does say कि हाँ he acknowledges this a lot कि he's being tough on me, so whenever I say that I need to go to McLaurin's for my own mental peace, so he's like, yeah, please go, like please go, we know that it's not easy for you in this environment. So yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that he is like that because many parents I know, I know people who have parents who do not acknowledge
Hmm.
this, who
Hmm.
feel ki this is their right, to demand these things and to be, and this is like, yeah, like it's their child's responsibility to serve them because they are their
Hmm.
parents.
Yeah, I think it's another blessing to have supportive parents. It's just a good thing on our part as well to acknowledge the good things, and we can't even think of all the things that they've done for us.
Yeah.
Like if we start counting, we'd like be sitting here all day. But
Yeah.
yeah, but to acknowledge things that we don't accept, but not still being resentful and just accepting it,
Yeah.
trying to work through it. I think that is important,
Yeah.
because sometimes I feel when I was in a place where I was resenting them a lot, I was not able to appreciate and enjoy the good things, the great things that they were doing for me.
Yeah.
But then when I came to that acceptance that I don't have to necessarily completely forgive them, but I can still accept it, and I can also appreciate the good things that they're doing, I think that really makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, even I feel like I have had some resentment for them previously about, yeah, when I was probably not that emotionally aware or mature about these things. So yes, I have resented them because of these things in the past, that my mom's always sick, that my dad gets sick, that I have to take care of them financially. I have experienced that, but I feel now I'm in a better state, especially because I don't live with them a lot now, right? Because, as they say that it's important to stay away, move out from your parents' home
Hmm.
to,
To be able to have a relationship with them.
yeah, to have a better relationship with them or have a relationship with them. Yeah.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that you don't love them. That actually means that you love them enough to protect that relationship. And that is what I did, because when I was at home, I was having the most terrible time.
Yeah.
My therapist actually told me about this term called caregiver burnout, and she also
Hmm.
told me about this term called parentification. Both of
Hmm.
these which I associate with, like, I was experiencing caregiver burnout. I was, yeah, I have to take care of my parents, and sometimes that can be overwhelming. So I was burnt out, and that led to some resentment, but I decided to move out.
Yes, we are happy for you.
When you say we, do you mean all the people listening to this as well?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. But I sometimes love myself for all these things. And I think when you look at yourself and see that you are, we have discussed this in adulthood wale episode maybe as well, that you feel proud to see yourself do all these things that you did not think that you were capable of doing. Like, you see yourself handling all these things like a boss. And sometimes it's amazing to see that.
Humans are capable of anything, man.
Yeah, man.
Superhuman.
What would be your superpower if you were a superhero?
I could just travel anywhere I want.
Ah. Same, you stole mine.
I mean, yes, I mean, a moral high ground will be solve hunger, solve crime, solve hate, but in a fun way for myself. Yeah, on personal grounds, I'd like this.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Oh. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like you are doing enough sometimes?
Acha, towards my parents. Honestly.
Yes.
No. I think no. Maybe not.
I feel that. Yeah. I was actually like thinking about this yesterday only, that I feel like I am doing everything in my power to be there for them and to take care
Hmm.
of them and to do everything else. But I feel like I have very little power right now. Like, I have very little energy. So if somebody looks at me, or if you look at it from a third person's perspective, it might not look like I'm doing enough. It might not look like I'm doing anything. Like, my efforts might look insignificant because I don't have that energy right now. And I haven't had that energy since, I think, a year or more. When that happens, when I think about that, I feel like, okay, I'm not doing enough because my parents are not happy. Do you get what I mean?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
even though I am doing everything in my power, I still am falling short.
So you think that you're falling short because your parents tell you they're not happy?
I don't think they've never told me explicitly in words, in these exact words, but I see that. I see that they're not happy.
See, they might be unhappy, like waves of happiness and happiness for reasons of life. But do you feel that you are responsible for the unhappy parts?
I do feel that. I mean, they ask me to. I mean, there are many things, okay? I'm not going to get into everything, but there are so many things that they wish I would do, that they have told me to do to make their lives better, which I've not done yet because I don't have the energy to do those things yet, if that makes sense.
Hmm, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, because of that, I know that they are unhappy. Of course, again, yeah, as you said, that they could be unhappy because of many reasons. But I know that one of the reasons is me. So that makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think if I could, I mean, you know your parents better and everything, but if I think about parents, I think just the fact, just their kids' mere existence would light them up, as like
Of course.
babies, we didn't have to do anything to be loved or to be, I mean, I know that where you are coming from. You're coming from a lot of other practical
Yeah.
materialistic emotional things that we can't obviously talk about,
Yeah.
but if I just talk about like the surface level and stuff, it's very different. Like every relationship, like everybody's relationship with their parents is very different, but
Yeah.
I know that you feel this, and it's not the best feeling, but it's still something that you are working towards, just accepting it maybe.
Hmm.
Because I know for me it would be like, I don't think that I'm not doing enough because they are unhappy. Definitely they have their unhappy parts of life, but I don't think they stem from me. I think that their kids would just be the reason of why they're still going on and why they're still happy. And they want, sometimes like with my conversation with them, it feels like they want me to do things for myself and they don't really care about, and I'm talking about like yours, maybe they don't care about having things from you, they just want to see you in a position and in a place where maybe they were not able to be in. And they don't want you to be in a position where
Yeah.
the kind of low that they've seen.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, I know that they want to see me happy. I know that, for them, the biggest thing is that I should be happy,
Hmm.
right? But I'm not most of the times. So I feel like,
Hmm.
okay, that's another thing that makes them unhappy. But I think we can go on and on about all these things.
Hmm.
It's just my mind. Of course, I overthink about these things a lot.
Hmm.
So,
But they are real things. They're
yeah.
not something you made up.
Yeah.
These are very real things. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's great that we can talk to each other about these things, because not just this podcast. I feel like, if this podcast were not here, we would anyway talk about these things with each other. We anyway do, and it is so nice to have that in your life. And as I grow old, as I grow up, I won't say grow old, sorry, as I grow up, I realize the importance of having people who truly understand you, who empathize with you a lot. I realize that it's so important to have that, because you then don't feel as alone in the journey. And the matter of the fact is that not many people will empathize or will understand your situation, because
Hmm.
everybody's situation is different, and many people don't even have these issues, and
Hmm.
that's great for them, that
Hmm.
many people don't have to deal with all the financial things and all the responsibilities of taking care of your parents and so that's good for them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And with like Indian family household situation, we are
Yeah.
we are very like we like, yeah. I mean, yeah. Indian parents have always, in a way, maybe spoon fed their kids to the extent that jab tak they can, they will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Indian families में बहुत dependencies है. I feel like
Huh.
many people are so dependent on their parents or their siblings, and I feel that in the long term that is not good, right? And I also feel कि Indian families में ये बहुत concept है कि you owe each other.
Hmm.
You owe your parents owe you, or you owe your relatives. ये बहुत concept है. I feel I've seen this a lot, that your parents will
Hmm.
say you owe us, and I don't think actually it's in Indian families only. I think it's just a global phenomenon.
Yeah, as long as you're doing things out of love, out of respect,
Yeah.
out of the family bond and the good relationship that you have,
Yeah.
it's different. But I think there's also a lot of fact that right now we're young.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't, and even then we feel so lonely
Yeah.
sometimes. With elders, it's like when people are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they've run all their life, right? For work, for family, for responsibilities, for relatives, for whatever. When they're older, they look for community, they look for belongingness, and they look for people that they want to live together and grow older. And that is a big fact. And all our young lives, we are trying to run, we're trying to go here, go there, see this, see that. But the kind of conversations that I've had with other friends as well, they would also discuss how for their parents a sense of community and, like I mentioned, sense of belonging is it's very important, because
Hmm.
it's like you're so old now, you it's like the concept of I need my space and everything. They've lived all of that.
Yeah.
Now they want a sense of companionship
Hmm.
and a sense of seeing their family or even friends, even if it's just having good friends around
Yeah.
you, not living in another state or country,
Hmm.
but in that very, sphere, it's important. Even as,
Yeah.
even if we are young, even though we all love our space, to we would only love it to a certain extent. And with our parents, it's like, because they've always moved from one place to another, trying to find the best house, or moving from another state to here, they don't have a lot of friends around,
Hmm.
or family even, for most of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like with us, it's like we have friends and we talk about so much. But for them, I'm not sure how many close friends or good relationships I can say that they would have.
Yeah,
You
that
know.
is true. I agree. Although, like, my dad has a lot of friends. Like, he has more friends than I have. So I'm sometimes jealous that he's so social and
Hmm.
extrovert. Well, I am like this introvert little kid who
Hmm.
who's afraid to meet new people. But yeah, I get
Hmm.
what you mean though. What are your views on being a parent?
Can't think of it right now.
God.
Don't even ask.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, no comments on that any further because my family might listen to this.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, when I think about having a child, right, the kind of love that you would have for somebody who came out of your body
Hmm.
would be substantial. So substantial that I might ruin the kid's life. Like my love will be too much for the child.
I get it. कि oh, you're going to college, take me with you.
अपनी नजर से नहीं हटा पाऊंगी.
You're going with friends, take me with you.
मैं भी बैठ जाऊंगी.
क्या हो गया?
Your mommy is cool. And then, sometimes when like sometimes when I misbehave with my mom and I raise my voice and
Hmm.
maybe say rude things, then it's fine. Okay, we talk it out. It's over.
Hmm.
All's fine. But then when I think about if I raised someone and they would talk to me
Yeah.
like this, I would kill them. I would kill them.
My mom says the same thing, right? So whenever I get
Hmm.
upset with her, no, or so I say something, she's like, "When you become a parent, now your kid will do the same thing with you. Then you see." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, I
well."
think this is what every parent says. Yeah. I mean, वही फिर वही चीज है कि अभी तक we feel like कि, oh, they don't owe us, but then when like a woman pushes you out of her body and almost die, then you would feel some kind of feeling that I do for you.
Yeah, you child, you owe me because
Yeah,
I pushed you out of my vagina, and you
yeah,
sent me something, no, that your vagina becomes the size of an orange or a watermelon. So my vagina became the size of a watermelon just because of you.
yeah. I grew you inside. I did not drink alcohol for 9 months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I remember, like jokes apart, like there was this beautiful quote that I read on Instagram. You must have heard as well that it was actually breakup related, and it said that don't let your heart break so easily. Like your mom grew you inside her for 9 months,
Yeah,
not so that it can break so easily or shatter
yeah,
so easily for some.
the random guy. Yeah,
Yeah, that was really cute. Yeah. And like how we've always talked about that, we listen to the most emotional songs and we like love sad songs even. But when it comes to songs about parents or
oh my
songs
god, I
about
can't
moms,
handle
we
them.
can't listen to it. Like
Yeah, yeah,
we cannot listen to it. Like
yeah,
they would be in my playlist forever. I would love everything, but I would not be able to listen to it without tearing up,
yeah.
without feeling like
Same.
I'm gonna cry. And I try to cut myself and emotionally close myself if it's playing somewhere that I can't control.
Yeah,
And I've had a situation where a song like this was playing, and one of my friends, she started crying.
yeah,
And so yeah, it's tough.
yeah,
I wouldn't say it's tough. It's just very this part of your life, this relationship. No matter how much you would complain about it, it's still the closest and your first relationship
yeah.
since you came into the world, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely, definitely. I
hmm,
get it. And you know how I was
hmm,
saying abhi pehle ki your parents have to be strong for you when they are like raising you. I feel that when we are like in our early 20s or mid 20s, we have to become strong for them,
for them.
and we have to hide our tears, we have to pretend that everything's
Hmm.
okay, we don't really mind. And that is, yeah, I mean, I feel that so much because I think I started experiencing gave cheese बहुत पहले, like when I was a child. I clearly remember this when my mom got her first paralysis attack. I was in the third grade and my dad was crying. Okay, he was crying and I was just standing there. I was like, no, Misha, you can't cry. As a third grade child, I was what, 10 years old? 10? I was like, I can't cry. I can't cry in front of my dad. I can't let him know that I'm not strong enough to handle this. And he keeps on telling me, actually, he tells me this itna zyada because he thinks that I have kuch problem कि emotionally I am, मुझे कुछ issue है that I cannot cry, that I don't feel any emotions at all. That is what he thinks. And I'm okay with that. And when I tell my therapist this thing, no, सच्ची अपना सर पकड़ के बैठ जाती है. She's like, Amisha, this is now not how this works.
Like as a child, it's so easy to cry in front of your parents,
Yeah.
and like you mentioned that you had to grow up at that point, that you have to be strong,
Yeah.
because you didn't want your dad, because he has to take care of your mom and himself, and now you don't want him to take care of you as well because you are also breaking. So that is definitely something.
Yeah, I don't remember crying in front of my parents. I don't.
Hmm.
Not even once. And it's so sad, honestly, if I think about it, like from a third person's
My
perspective.
God.
It's truly
Hmm.
sad. Yeah.
No, but I'm sure a lot of people would be able to relate to that.
Hugs to
Hmm.
everyone who can relate with this.
Hmm. True.
Yeah, it's tough actually, like I feel like my parents, they don't know much about me, my health
Hmm.
issues. If I'm sick, they don't
Hmm.
know it unless I'm like visibly sick, कि मुझे fever हो रहा है something. They don't know. They don't know
Hmm.
that I sometimes I have to get some blood tests chup chup ke because I don't want them to
Hmm.
know कि I'm sick or something. And
Hmm.
again, that is pretty sad. But this
Hmm.
is how it is.
Huh, and just in general, when I don't know, so we know people who've lost their parents as well,
Yeah.
right? And their moms and dads, and even both of their parents.
Yeah.
So yeah, so whenever it's like Mother's Day or Father's Day, right?
Mm.
I know somebody who lost her dad, posted a story that her friend took her out on Father's Day. And that was so sweet. Like,
Yeah.
that was really sweet, because it can be so tough.
Yeah, man. Much love to everybody who has lost a
Mm.
parent.
And like, I know a lot of my friends have dealt with issues regarding their parents.
Mm.
But now that we're kind of closer to our mid 20s than we were to our early 20s, I feel that a lot of my friends have kind of tried to make amends with the relationship.
Yeah. Having said that, I feel that many relationships cannot be fixed as well because I know
Yeah.
people who have terrible
Hmm.
relationships with their parents, and it
Hmm.
is mainly because the parent was not good, either
Hmm.
the parent was abusive or whatever,
Hmm.
and that is
Yeah.
normal.
That is so extremely different
Yeah.
zone of
Exactly. But I feel that these people who do not have relationships, good relationships with their parents, they find themselves guilty as well. They feel guilty of, not talking to their parents. But I feel it's that you should not feel guilty about this thing.
if your parent is very toxic.
Exactly, because even though that person raised you, even though that person brought you into this life, they do not have the right at all to be abusive towards you or to be
Hmm.
any way harmful to you mentally or physically.
Hmm.
Yeah, we love talking about these things, and I hope that you can also relate with this. I mean, not that we would want to relate, we would want for you to relate with the sad bits, but still, if you do, then know that you're not alone.
Yeah, and I think now that we've grown up and we listen to stories of not just each other but a lot of other
Yeah,
people as well, I think I've realized that everybody has an enormous amount of pain and sadness within
yeah.
them. So, and I know when I am hurting, I'm not the only one hurting. Like, I
Yeah,
just know.
yeah, that is so true. Yeah, I think with experiences and as you grow up, you know that. You just realize that because you meet so many people and you realize that okay, we are all in the same boat or we are all in the same water if not in the same boat. All right, then we'll see you in the next episode. Till then, take care, have fun.
Yes. Have fun. Bye.